Ivan Katz here, and I'm a guitar collector who's long thought that the T Series of Peavey guitars are pretty cool. And I noticed that there's not a lot of information out there, definitely not a lot of information in one place. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to do a video here and show you my collection behind me, and I'm going to talk about all of these guitars and the bass and tell you the history, while also playing these guitars to show you how they sound and how versatile they are. Let's get started. So the Peavey T Series guitars were made from 1978 to 1986, and I believe the T40 bass was made from 78 until 1988, 2 years longer. What makes them so historical and special is the fact that, well, they were made with computer numerical controlled machinery. Hartley Peavey basically was a gun guy, and he noticed that guns were mass produced using computers to make them precisely the same, every single one that's produced. And he thought he could do the same thing for guitars, and he did. Even though he got famous by selling his amplifiers, he eventually started to make guitars. More on that later. So in 1959, Hartley Peavey made his first logo when he was a senior in high school. In 1961, he built his first amp, and in 1964, he got his first patent. Now he has 180 patents. He wanted to produce quality gear at a fair price, and Peavey Electronics was founded in 1964. Guitar and bass amps were being made by bigger and bigger companies, and basically the quality was going down and down and down. So Peavey wanted to fill the niche with great amps at a great price. In 1967, Don Belfield became the first salesman when he tried to sell Peavey an amp, and they compared them both, and well, Don thought Peavey's was better, so he came on board. In 1968, they built their first factory. In 1969 came the silver stripe trademark design. In 1970, Nashville and country superstars Merle Haggard, Hank Williams Jr., Mel Tillis, and even rock guys like Dr. Hook and The Medicine Show. Dr. Hook had great songs like When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, Sexy Eyes, and my personal favorite, Sharing the Night Together. Plus the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and the Grand Ole Opry in general saw huge growth for Peavey. And basically they went from 2 employees in 1966 to 150 in 1973. So in 1975 they started making guitars to compete with companies that sold guitars and amps together. Basically what happened is companies like Fender and Gibson were saying, hey, if you want to sell our guitars, you got to sell our amps too. And Peavey said, hey, well, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make my own guitars so I can sell the amps along with the guitars too. So in 1977, he started combining computers into guitar production, and the rest is history. That's what makes these things so special. Since they were aided by computer design, he could basically build these guitars, make sure that the quality was excellent, and also compete at a very, very fair price. Their advertisement had the headline, Why? Because basically they were charging $375 for their T60, and the Fender Stratocaster was $790, while the Gibson Les Paul was almost $1,000. A huge savings for the consumer, who basically could buy the Fender and the Gibson all in one guitar, but more on that later. The Peavey was such a big success that it became the largest exported item from America, and the U.S. Department of Commerce even gave it a presidential award. The Peavey T Series guitars were originally designed by Chip Todd in 1977. They debuted at the 1978 NAMM show. The Peavey T25 was made between 82 and 83 and had dual humbucking pickups. The Peavey T26 was made between 82 and 83 and had 3 single coil pickups. The Peavey T27 had 2 single coil pickups and 1 humbucker. The Peavey T60 here was built from 78 to 1988, and it's a dual humbucker guitar with a design that was way, way ahead of its time. Basically, it could do a Gibson sound and a Fender sound all at the same time. A maple neck and an alder body, and again, I'll show you later when I demo this guitar, but a little on the heavy side, basically, but they could do it all. I think they were way ahead of their time, and they still remain, I think, a really good bargain these days, too. They look a little bit like Rickenbacker pickups, but they were called Super Ferrite, basically. And again, you'll hear them a bit later. The T40 bass also had similar pickups, and you could get many, many different sounds from that one as well. Unfortunately, I haven't picked one of those up yet, but it's certainly on my list. They're very cool. Now here we see my two T30 models, and basically the T15 and the T30 are very similar student models, meaning they have short scale necks, but basically these had 20 frets while the T60 actually had 19, but it is a shorter scale neck, and they thought that, well, beginners would enjoy it because it would be easy to learn, and the experts could just play faster. And I will tell you, the necks on these, they do feel great. I love maple necks because I think they are easier to see when you're performing and on stage, but I've always liked maple necks a bit better. Not sure why, but these two both have that. The only difference between the T15 and the T30 are that the T15s just had 2 pickups and these had 3. So again, you get more sounds with the 5-way selector switch here. Notice how they all say made in the USA. Very, very cool. Now the T30s were made from 1981 to 83, while the T15s with 1 less pickup were made from 82 to 84. Now the T25s had full range humbuckers, and you could use the 2 tone controls to change the pickups from humbucker to single coil, just like you can on the T60. Basically this happens when the tone is at 7 and below. You get humbucker sounds set at high, and the pickups turn into single coils. Now the T27 was quite popular because Carl Perkins used it on a TV special with George Harrison and Eric Clapton, and custom offerings like a double neck were also made, and that was used with the 6 and 12 string configuration for Neil Schon of Journey. Now some of the Peavey cases were quite special. This one is of course custom and molded for the guitar, and has a little bit of extra storage around it too as well, which is nice. But some of the cases actually had built-in amplifiers, this being Peavey, an amp company, who could actually, like Silvertone Dan Electro back in the day in the 60s, you could get a built-in amp in the case. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have it, but it is molded and does say Peavey on the outside. Alright, you want to hear how they sound? Of course you do. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start with the T60, and got this selector all the way up. Okay, here we go. I'm using the basic 65 twin sound right now on my Fender Mustang GT100 amp. I have a separate video on that amp. It's an amazing amp, so check that out elsewhere on YouTube. But here we go. Okay, now what you can do here is, I'll put it in the middle position, and when you turn down, now they are said to be noisy. These are a little bit noisy. I mean, I haven't used this guitar in a while, it's been sitting in the case, but probably needs some contact cleaner. So you can get a lot of different sounds from this guitar. Nice blues sound there, and let me just change it up a little bit. Strat-telly coming through there, and then I'll go ahead and move these down a bit. So there you go, Fender Strat sounds and Gibson Les Paul sounds, all from this Peavey T60. Now I'm going to move to a dirty sound here. I'll call it a Les Paul dirty sound and show you what that's like. So there you go. You can get so many sounds from this, you know, and it's just an incredibly versatile guitar. Little bit on the heavy side, but not quite like a Gibson Les Paul, which is heavier. I have a 73 Telecaster that's very, very heavy because it's walnut, and this one is a bit lighter than those. So there you go. Now I'm going to switch to the first of my T30 guitars. Here we go. Okay, now the black T30. Nice, and again, smaller neck, student size, feels really good. This is a lighter guitar than the T60. I love the black look of it, use it on stage sometimes. I really like this guitar. Similar to my Fender Mustang, short scale, just very cool, I think very quirky, and something that really stands out. Versatility. All right. Really, really nice. Now I'll switch it over here. Plays great, sounds great, I think. Love the maple neck, short scale. Yes, now on to the next T30. Okay, here we go. The last one, my other T30, this one in a natural finish. I think the finish has actually maybe even been stripped off a bit, but just look at the wood grain in there. It's a really pretty guitar, even though I do favor black guitars and blue guitars, but I like the blue T30 a lot. But let's check this one out, shall we? Really cool. Plays great. Sounds great. Yeah. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video on the Peavey T Series of guitars. I really like them. I think they're quite cool. Please smash that like button for me, share my videos, subscribe, and check out all of my channels. This one here, Ivan Katz Productions, and also my Ink video channel where you can see my solo acoustic, original, and cover songs, as well as some other cool music videos. There's also some videos on this Ivan Katz production page. And if you like cars, well then of course just search Drivin Ivan on YouTube and your favorite car, and you'll see my Drivin Ivan car reviews. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Ivan Katz.